how to build the discernment of self-wisdom versus external validation or external whatever. That's my main goal, is to help others learn how to build that internal safety, that trust, that connection, so they don't need me forever. Hey beautiful, welcome to Naturally Empowered Living, your safe space to guiding you on your unapologetic self-awakening journey. This is your weekly sanctuary for waking up from autopilot and transforming the way you approach life through the power of meditation, energetics, and root cause therapy. It is my mission to help you heal unprocessed emotions and release stuck energies by alchemizing your struggle cycles into opportunities for deep self-love, awareness, trust, and connection, to return to your innate essence of being, stepping back into your energy of alignment. Because here, we honor all parts of ourselves, the messy and the magic, the shadows and the light, embodying all parts that make you, you. So if you are ready to get to the root of cultivating real change, get cozy, grab your journal and maybe favorite crystals, and let's discover our power within together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Naturally Empowered Living podcast. This is your host, guide, and mentor in all things energetics, emotions, and self-awakening, Jenna Smith. And I cannot believe that we are already here. Like, we are at the very last episode of our month of listener write-in submissions. Oh my gosh, I have enjoyed this so much. Like, it has been truly a gift. Like, I love hearing from you. Of course, I know I've said this, countless times, but I just love hearing your questions, your experiences, your curiosities, right? Like what you're getting from the show, like what additional add-on questions, or like you want to go deeper. And oh my gosh, it just, I could feel how many of us are walking this path, right? This path of awakening together, this path of true conscious awareness. Like, we are here wanting to show up, wanting to break these cycles, these karmic, like we are these karmic alchemists, right? Oh my gosh, walking this emotional and energetic path together. I'm just so thankful. So thank you for showing up the way that you have and for being here on the show. Just all the love. So today we are wrapping this series with a powerful and very relatable question that someone submitted. They wrote, how have you dealt with people and their resistance to any mental health work in your job? And are there any patterns you've noticed regarding this in the rural community that you serve? Such a powerful and such a real question that you've shared with us. So thank you for this dear submission, for this dear listener that wrote in this question. And I'm sure that everyone listening can put yourself into some area of this question, right? Within your life, within a season of your life. And I feel that this is just a very relatable question on so many levels. So let's get into it. First, I want to give a little bit of context around how I view resistance itself, because resistance can be a big reason why people feel stuck, obviously, but how we can subconsciously or not even be aware of or aware to the resistance that we actually have. And this can in turn put a block up, or we could feel that we are avoiding the healing work, or we never fully receive the support that we actually might be consciously seeking. We feel that we're not getting it. And gosh, I just said that and I was like, oh my gosh, like I just had like this little light bulb within my life. Like, oh my gosh. So I want to ask you a couple questions. Like, have you ever felt you know exactly what to do, or you know what would help you? The habit, the breathing, the journaling, the exercises, the conversations, the whatever, the help, right? You know exactly what you should be doing or what would help you, but you can't bring yourself to actually do it. Or you can't bring yourself to actually receiving or seeing. Maybe you do start the thing. You feel excited, you feel hopeful, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. But then at some point in time, you feel stalled, or you fizzle out, or you stop, or you feel stuck, or you slip back into old patterns, like that self-sabotage piece, right? that is resistance in some wave of the resistance spectrum. And I'm sure that you could probably guess, because you're not new to the show. And if you are, I'm so thankful that you're here. Oh my gosh, so many juicy episodes lately. But I'm sure that you've probably heard before. And if not, take a minute to truly hear this. That conscious willpower alone may not always be able to resolve or heal or do or receive. And in this instance, heal or release the resistance. That conscious willpower, that conscious awareness most definitely is a step. Like step one is obviously being aware, right? But we are still in that awareness phase when we get frustrated. Like that same cycle keeps happening, or why do we keep sabotaging XYZ? Why am I seeing these same patterns, happening in my life? I'm starting to feel this momentum and then it halts, or I self-sabotage, or whatever that thing might be, right? Like insert your personal life situation here. This is not laziness. This is not, I must not want it bad enough. It's not failure. And it's not that your conscious willpower isn't strong enough. By golly, like that conscious willpower is necessary. However, resistance is a subconscious protective mechanism within you. It's a program tucked deep inside your nervous system, built to keep you safe or familiar or unchanged because of a past experience or a past pattern or something at some point in time. Your nervous system put that block up and it has compounded. That energy has gotten stuck. That emotion possibly has been unprocessed. So even when the thing that we want to change is actually what would free us, right? Like think of that crazy cycle. I think of this all the time. Like, gosh, like this is what I want. When the thing that we want is actually what would free us, but why can I not reach it? That's why so many of us, then we give up. Like this is why those nervous system imprints are so important. Like, yes, they had their place. Yes, there was a moment when they were created in a moment of survival. However, in your present life, they may no longer be serving you. So when they pop up as these protective mechanisms, as these self-sabotaging cycles. I tell clients that resistance is like driving with your emergency brake on. Like you could absolutely move forward, but you're going to burn energy. You're going to feel the friction. And here's the part that a lot of us miss is that resistance can actually be a trapped, unprocessed emotion. It could be a stored no, or a stored fear, or a stored anger, or a stored overwhelm, resentment. Something within the body once did not have that capacity to process, so it became a block instead of a release. And when we understand that resistance is another protective mechanism, we might be able to insert it into the process of awareness, somatic processing, release, to bring that nervous system back to calm, to release that emotion, to bring our body back into safety, back into presence. So we might be able to have that perspective shift here. When resistance is simply, I know it's like, oh my gosh, like this is life, right? Like how do you say resistance is simply another protective mechanism? But looking at the big picture, it could be another stuck, trapped emotion within our bodies. So this submission actually came in before last week's episode. But I wanted to record last week's episode first, the shadow work, protector parts, orphan parts, repressed, suppressed parts explained. Because now, given the context of we kind of talked about protector parts, if you want a deeper dive, if you didn't listen to episode 160 yet, last week's episode, you could check out that episode after you listen to this one to really get more of a deep dive into what these parts are and the roles that they served and how they still feel that they are helping us survive, but they may not be serving us in these present moments. But to really give you that validation and understanding of us all having parts. So now, let's kind of jump back into this submission. This question is, how have you dealt with people and their resistance to any mental health work in your job? And are there any patterns you've noticed regarding this in the rural community that you serve? I really want to drive this home is that having resistance, consciously or unconsciously, it's not that you don't want to or aren't ready to. It's that your nervous system may not feel that healing is safe or releasing this block is safe yet to receive, to do, to change, or whatever that over the bridge is for you. So resistance doesn't always show up as I don't want this or I don't want to do this. It could be subtle, like those protector parts of I'm just too busy right now, or I don't want to make a big deal out of this, so I'm just going to not speak up. Or I'll wait until things settle down and then we'll have the conversation. Or overthinking, procrastinating, feeling overwhelmed, shutting down, minimizing your pain, holding everything together for everyone else, being that people pleaser. I just kind of summarized those parts from last week's episode. Like that could also be a form of resistance. And even deeper than that, you could fear discomfort. You could fear comfort. You could fear change, fear what might surface if you do dive into XYZ, or the fear of feeling something big that's been stored for years and oh my gosh, am I going to re-traumatize myself? Fear of being seen, fear of losing the familiar identity that's lived inside of you for so long. Resistance can be, and a lot of times is, a trust wound trying to protect a gentle part of you. Again, being that protector part. If I do this, what if this happens? Or, it's a fear of safety is being jeopardized. So absolutely, I have most definitely worked with a lot of people who hold some sort or some form of resistance. And how we work through that is by meeting the resistance instead of fighting it. Learning what it's protecting. Getting curious, working with the nervous system, connecting with the body, helping people reconnect with their own inner safety and possibly rebuild that inner safety, guiding them back to a place where healing feels possible, feels safe, they feel understood and comforted and loved instead of overwhelming or in fear or jeopardizing safety. So that is how I approach resistance. Just like any other stored emotion, just like any other protective part or suppressed emotion or limiting belief, is we meet it instead of fighting it. And we stay curious and learn with compassion and love and understanding to gently bring the safety back, to bring the awareness that this might not be serving me in my present life. And we could reparent and bring that neuroplasticity piece into play. So root cause therapy, absolutely. I work a lot with resistance. And now to the second part of the question. Are there patterns that you've noticed regarding this in the rural community that you serve? Again, absolutely. There are absolutely patterns that I've noticed in a small town community that I serve. And I want to bring this part up as of, any question that I respond to. But bringing this specific piece of the question into the equation, I want to preface with so much compassion, so much love, because it takes a lot of vulnerability, let alone to potentially heal or tell your story or to share vulnerable things with a stranger or with someone that you know that you might not possibly ever see again, right? It brings another level of vulnerability into the equation. And I want to bring so much compassion because these patterns or these feelings or this resistance, they don't come from nowhere, right? They come from possible generations of conditioning, of survival tactics, of culture. So living in a smaller town or a rural community possibly might bring additional worries or being nervous of what others might think or say or whatever that internal dialogue is within you. So here's a few scenarios that I've personally experienced, and there's no judgment. There's no, this is what I've worked through with others, and also my assumptions of just observing and being a part of a rural community. Like I've lived in a city setting and I've lived in small town settings. So number one is a lot of people in a rural community, and I'm not saying this is just rural, but a lot of people in a rural community have the I'll handle it myself mentality. Like there's a deeply ingrained belief that we can manage our own problems. We can push through it. We don't have to burden other people. Reaching out can feel unsafe because it goes against everything that we've taught, or, that generational piece. If you're up, if you're third, fourth, fifth generation in the same town or same county or wherever, there could be a lot of added layer of, my parents did it, my great grandparents did it, so I have to do it too. Or I can't show signs of struggle or whatever. Another one is emotional privacy. Absolutely. In smaller communities, like vulnerability, I kind of already touched on this, but vulnerability can feel risky. The fear of being talked about or judged or misunderstood or labeled. So even if someone possibly wants to explore this emotional work, they might still keep it hidden for the fear of what others might think. Or just the fear of the unknowns too. Of like, what will this be like? What will this setting be like? What will come out of this? It brings in that comfort, that fear of discomfort and that fear of comfort. Number 3 is normalized suppression. Like so many people grew up watching their parents, their grandparents, their great grandparents like push everything down. Just keep moving forward. Never talk about feelings. And that just becomes the standard baseline. And then if you come into a rural community with generations, multiple different, family generations within the same area, like that's a lot. Like that becomes the baseline. So to stir that up a little bit, like it might feel a little foreign or even threatening. And lastly, it can be a big nervous system overload. And again, these examples that I'm sharing aren't necessarily solely for the rural community setting. Nervous system overload can come, to anyone and everyone. It's just like different capacities, or it may look different in different cultural settings and different environmental settings. So the nervous system overload, when someone has lived their entire life in a rural community or in the same community, or lived their entire life in survival mode, the idea of slowing down or change can feel terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Like that body interprets that introspection as danger. This is unfamiliar. This is not okay. So then I think I've shared this before on the show. I'm not sure within this past month series, but to really aid in not overloading or overwhelming the nervous system or flooding the nervous system, I have like a water faucet analogy that I learned through my work, my certifications through the Center for Healing, that if you turn the water faucet on full bore, like, 0 to 100, and the water's like, the pressure's high, it's like, it's as high as it can go, as hard as the water can go. That could be a nervous system flooding, right? But you also have the ability to turn the water off. And you have the ability to turn on the water just a little bit to let trickles in. And then you could turn it off. And then you could turn it on a little bit more, and then you can turn it off. Okay? So that little bit of exposure, I know there's a whole modality of exposure therapy, right? But we are here to not overload or not overwhelm the nervous system. That is not the goal. And these patterns, like, they're not personal. Again, they're not solely for within a rural community setting. But they're not personal. It's just what is. And it could possibly fit your story. And maybe some don't fit your story. Maybe you don't resonate. And that's okay too. I'm just so thankful that the submission came through to address this, because I'm just so like, it's a very real question, but possibly overlooked as well. So I give you so much gratitude, so much love, so much compassion for asking this question. And this is exactly why compassion and love and gentleness and safety and bio-individuality and bio-individual pacing matter so much. So let's kind of wrap this with a little more of a deep dive of how I help people's resistance. Because I said bio-individual, and I was like, yep, let's talk about this a little bit. So bio-individuality. That's it. Like, how do I help with people's resistance? It's a case-by-case basis. I shared a little bit in a nutshell of, bringing safety back into the system, really meeting with curiosity, not force. So that bio-individuality is not pushing, not forcing, not convincing. Like, I'm not here to force you into healing before you're ready. And with that, if you thought we were coming in to start at step 5, but we need to start at step 1, that's okay too. Helping others learn how to build internal safety, how to build self-trust, how to build self-connection, how to build the discernment of self-wisdom versus external validation or external whatever. That's my main goal, is to help others learn how to build that internal safety, that trust, that connection, so they don't need me forever. So they've created their own tools and resources and inner knowings and discernments that connected them back to their own internal wisdom to move forward in now their everyday life. Like, readiness, it's not always a mindset. And this goes back to that bio-individuality and that conscious awareness versus unconscious awareness. Remember, we can't always conscious willpower our way through everything. We have to be aware that those patterns or habits exist, absolutely, but also that they're not coincidental. Like, nothing is coincidence. There's always an energetic exchange here. And that's the nervous system state. So my role is to meet people where they are at, to hold space without pressure, to offer tools without any sort of expectation, to model that safety, that space, that love, that openness, and to create that environment where resistance, it doesn't have to be battled. We can sit and cry in a session, absolutely, because that's what your body needed in those moments. Like, it gradually happens. And when we build that trust in the knowing of this is going to unfold exactly as it is meant to, and I trust that, I mean, that's so powerful. So I allow their systems to lead. Like, healing is not just choosing, right? It's not forcing. Healing is allowing, is being, is accepting and honoring. And I honor my clients' timelines. I honor my clients' bio-individuality, like, not mine. I say prayers before every single session, setting intentions, yes. Creating a safe space, yes, but also to allow my perspectives and any biases that I have to be released and allow me to be a neutral vessel, this channel of life force energy in this sacred, safe space that we're going to hold in that session today. Or today, that's, I was like thinking of the prayer that I speak. So as we close out, oh my gosh, this month of listener submissions, truly, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been such a beautiful month of connection and reflection and community. And again, I just love hearing your questions, your thoughts, your real human experiences. And even though we're wrapping this month, I like made this mini series impromptu, right? But that doesn't mean that I don't want you to keep submitting your questions and submitting those forms, because I want to always know what you want to hear on the show. And I do my best to like reach every single one in its own episode. But a lot of times if I get similar questions, I weave it into the context of a general episode. And I don't always say like, this is the listener submission, right? So always submit what you want to hear on this show. I love to hear from you. You could grab the link to submit what you are struggling with, what you desire, any deeper context or philosophies or approaches or whatever you want to hear on the show. Grab the link to submit in the show notes of this episode, and it's even in the description of this show at all times. So I hope that this episode today has helped you notice where possibly some resistance lives within you. I had a couple little aha moments as I'm talking for me, for my personal life. So we're not looking at resistance as a flaw or like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? Okay? It's solely communication. It's solely awareness. And what are you going to do with that awareness? Okay? Allow it to be a doorway into deeper self-trust, self-connection, and self-love for yourself. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next week for a brand new month. Oh my gosh, the final month of 2025. Like how? so many good things ahead. I cannot wait to be alongside of you. So until next week, as always, simply be you. You have everything inside of you to learn your energy of alignment and be unapologetic in who you are. I'm sending my love and so much light.
Did you find this episode freeing or empowering? Please read my review. Tickle, boop.
Thank you for spending the sacred time with me on Naturally Empowered Living. If this episode brought you closer to stepping into your energy of alignment, I'd love for you to leave a written review and share how this show has supported your journey. Your feedback truly lights me up and helps others find the space of transformation. And sharing it with someone who might need it spreads the ripple of healing even further. Be sure to check the show notes for ways to connect with me and explore personalized healing sessions and mentorships to deepen your self-awakening journey. Thank you. I appreciate all you are and all you do.